Right, I've hit the button. We're here, we're live. This is a brand new era for good brand consultants. It's a brand new era for the good consultancy brand podcast. We're live and we're streaming. Streaming!
Streaming, and the tears will be streaming very soon when we realise it's terrible seeing ourselves on screen.
We've not been about for a while because delightfully, delightfully, we are busy. So the challenge was we used to do these on a Wednesday. But when we come into the Wednesday, everybody's in the office, and then we're trying to get to talk to people and go, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then, much to the disconcertation of our fans across the world, we were doing this. So Julie came up with a great idea. Go, we've got to find a different way of doing it. So this is a different way of doing it. We're all in our homes. We're partying like it's 2020, and we're just trying the streaming thing to try and get there. So not only will we be coming in your ears, but we'll be coming on your eyeballs, on through.
Jesus.
What? That says more about you than it says more about me.
Jesus, this is not a good start.
This is just the same. See, we thought, will this be weird? No, same vibe.
Oh, I said, Stuart, are you not going to do the Welcome to the Good Brand podcast?
Well, if you just give me a second, I know what I'm doing.
Sorry.
So, I mean, Christ almighty, I'm just doing an intro. Just because you couldn't come up with a joke. Anyway, hit it. Welcome to the Good Brand Podcast. My name is Stewart Steele. Good is a brand consultancy based in the United Kingdom. I am joined as ever today by the coordinated Chris Lumsden.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
And Ms. Julie Murdoch.
Uncoordinated.
Uncoordinated, but your hair's looking great. And now, thanks to the power of YouTube, people can
Everyone can see I've had my hair.
It's a treat. So yeah, we're going to talk about an article that I wrote last in May, and I'm going to just hand over to Chris because Chris is going to run the show.
Well, you wrote a piece that I thought it was really good. It resonated. I liked it, and it's called "Why Your Best Work Isn't Winning," which doesn't really explain what's going on in the article. So for folk that haven't read it, Stuart, can you summarise the sort of core message? You talk about a thing called the recognition gap that I really like. Can you give us a quick overview of what the whole thing's about?
Yeah, basically, it's about how sometimes that you can be a bit too product-led, and then you have a wonderful product, you put it out into the world, and then suddenly you kind of go, this product isn't selling. Why is this product not selling? And that's when suddenly it's not a branding problem, it's a business problem. And it's that gap between the value that you believe that you deliver. You sit there in your team and your little workshops and go, this product's fantastic, this is going to change the world. And then when it goes out into the world, it's the value that your customers perceive it as, which might not be the same. So suddenly there is this gap of, we think this is amazing, but people who are buying it don't. So the challenge is
like our inside out bias thing sometimes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that could be described as a business problem, but it's not. That can be described as a branding problem, but it's not, because it's a business problem because you ain't getting any money. So what are you going to
do? So why did you write it then? Was there something that are you doing stuff at the moment that triggered it?
I just hate LinkedIn. LinkedIn rips my knitting. And there was a lot of kind of things about, there's a lot of tossery about brand from, on there. And I think sometimes there is such a desire to go brand is the answer to everything that I don't blame anybody in a C-suite to kind of go, what are you talking about? And actually, I think sometimes you've got to frame this not as a brand problem, but as a business problem. Brand people love talking about brand. And, we love talking about brand. We think it's a value. It's a lever that you can to help sell and make people understand. It was basically, I was reading a couple of things, and I think because I went, fuck this. I think I did it in French though, so it sounded classy. And I went, I'm going to just write something about this because it's ripping my proverbial.
But we are, just second part to that answer, we are working with a number of clients at the moment, conversations that we've had over the recent months where the kind of the two parts to this, of the, brand and product being conflated into one communication, which caused a bit of confusion, and also, unpacking the value around product through a kind of positioning exercise. We're having lots of conversations in that space with multiple clients, which I think and you can see, just reflecting on even some of the work we were doing last week with a client in a workshop, that some of the themes of things that you've written about here, Stuart, it's, coming through in terms of the challenges that they're facing and unpacking some of that.
It's interesting. It does come up a lot with us, but it's something that seems to be hidden. Clients can't, you highlighted it there, Stuart. People either go product or brand, or it's not talked about more, this challenge, this kind of recognition gap. Why is that?
It's probably just siloed thinking. It's just kind of, I think I would say that sometimes you get, when things are going well, it's the sales team, and when things are going bad, it's the brand.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a bit of, there's got to be a bit of, we're both are accountable, and it's easier to kind of talk about product at the top level and go out there, but actually there's no foundation to the business about why this has got a value to it. It's kind of look at what they could do. The great thing is, and we've seen it where we work with sometimes with software companies who jump straight in to showing, you open it up. So what we're going to do first is log in. You go, what? Hey? And actually you've got to try and understand the value of what you're doing, but it's just part of the brand experience and part of the story, which is about the entire business, to go, we believe, and then put it down to there. What our point of view in the market is this, and this is why we've created this, to help you make money or save money.
Let's talk about that a little bit, about why it matters. So you talk about, they say that clients that are, fail to make their value clear bleed pricing power, which is quite a powerful thing to say. Well, what do you mean? Can you unpack that a little bit, and how that happens? What's going on there?
I mean, you can see, well, if I'm answering your question correctly, I think, and you'll let me know if not, I mean, you can see everywhere, it's the difference between Ford and Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari have managed their brand to build margin. It's got certain cues to it that you can kind of go, right, it's exclusive, it's handmade, all the kind of story thing that you've got within there gets Ferrari higher margins. With Ford, they tell the story as a brand because their business strategy is, we want to sell a lot of these things, and the margin is slightly lower, but it's mass market, so you understand all those things. So
yeah, but the same point you make. So Ferrari have technical superiority over Ford. I mean, you use that language.
Yep.
You say technical superiority isn't enough. So is it the fact that they don't only have the technical superiority, but they're able to present the benefits of that technical superiority in a powerful way?
For the market that they've understood, it's about desirability and of that technical, you're going to get the best, and that's going to cost. So there's a story around that, rather than going, we've launched a car. And you kind of go, okay, there's a lot of car launches in a year. So they've kind of got, so they build up the brand story to support that, go, we believe in this and this and this, and this. Our point of view is technical this, technical that. And I think that story, especially when there's so much, we work with companies that would describe themselves as selling Me Too products. Nothing dirty on that. It's the competition. So you've got to have a point of view that differentiates you on that Me Too. So that has got to be a differentiator. If you just go to market, you're just going to market.
But I think, I was just going to say, I think, again, if one of the roles of brand is to help mitigate risk and help customers navigate in their decision-making process, then brands that communicate that value clearer are going to benefit when it comes to the commercial, ultimately how it hits the bottom line. So, and I think the same then can be said that it definitely extends into product. If it doesn't have to even, and as you've said in your article, Stuart, products where largely, and we see it a lot in the B2B tech space, because there is often I'm trying to think of a word other than ball hair that will be as appropriate.
Margin?
That'll work.
Slim margin.
A thin margin between the technical specification of different products. So you need something else to set yourself apart. And then, like you say, really understand, thinking about, this isn't a new conversation. We've touched on this a number of times in previous podcasts about technical-led, engineering-led businesses being so proud of the technology and proud of the software, whatever it may be, that's what they want to talk about. Ramp up the technical, and kind of the simplification of it is seen as a dumbing down and a negative thing, as opposed to we're making it clearer for customers to navigate the value the problem we're solving for them and the value that we're delivering for their business. It's just a bit of a flip.
But I think you make a really good point there, Jules, which is when you say the brand is designed to help customers make a trusted decision, make the right decision. I think when you go to certain people and you're trying to get budget for things, I think part of the problem is that the brand is seen as the colouring in department, like, oh, where do you put the logo and what size of it? And actually it's a deeper, more fundamental truth to kind of what the business is. It's explaining what you are as a business and the fundamental basis of all your products and everything else that goes there. And I think it's kind of, brand is seen as, what colour is it? You know, and
so
how size the logo.
Yeah,
But
so
we were
in the sense of the enlightened, you know, that sense of enlightenment about brand, you know, it does go to the core of the business. That, and if you embrace that, then fine, you can get on with it. But if not, then it is the decoration station, right?
Yeah.
But that's backed, and again, and not an uncommon theme of things that we talk about around the kind of the importance of those, you know, the foundational aspects of your brand and things that drive, you know, that don't change, that drive decision. And we were talking about it with a client yesterday. They're launching a new brand, a new product, and well, a new business. And we were talking about exploring some of those fundamental kind of vision, mission, values. You know, it was about what sort of, and it was a kind of soundbite from the CEO that was quoted around the type of people that they want to recruit to deliver this service. And it's like, with clear foundations, that's a really strong thing. And it's a little bit kind of, I don't mean chicken, you know, at this stage with them, it's a little bit chicken eggs. You're like, that's really useful information for us to know, because you can build it into the stuff that's going to live at the core of your brand. So it's not about, you know, what does the logo look like? It's about what people do we want to drive this business forward, you know, from obviously from an internal point of view, which are just, you know, it's interesting. We don't always get the chance to chat about it at that stage and at that level, but because it's, you know.
So Stuart,
Hi.
Let's talk a little bit about how it kind of then shows up, because you mentioned another stat that there's always you mentioned a couple of things in the article, but there's one about the 74% that I think it's like customers are 74% way through their research before they want to pick up the phone or contact a brand. So what mistakes do these, and you talk about it digitally, what are the mistakes that they make? Is that just literally then, as Jules has outlined, that technical mindset is just slapped straight onto a sales deck or a website, or what's happening there?
The emotional development of a product, not just the technical, but when you actually have something and you've got it shared and you're kind of in a room and you're all just talking about this product to the point where you understand it implicitly. And then it's good. Okay, so now we just need to put a nice box on it because this value is so obvious to us, which it is, because you've been sat in a room for 2.5 years building it. Mm-hmm. And I think we said before in the podcast is that I think every product team starts off trying to solve for the end result, but they lose that solving thing in the detail when they get to the end result. So then the end result is, like I say, you know, it's got a 7.9-inch screen. Whereas probably originally we need this to be clearer so that people can see more options. You know, I mean, that's what they've designed for, but it ends up being a 7.9-inch screen. And I think that's where it runs out and it kind of moves on. And also they probably do have a set of values that have probably been slightly shaved off as the product is in development, but they always go out looking for the best. And I just think that the challenge is these products take a long time. You just want it out the door, and there's a bit that the taking it back and go, okay, this is great. Let's reframe how this is going to make me money or save me money. Let's just reframe it, and let's understand that value so we can put it clearly on the website.
Do you mean let's reframe that so that it's more easily understood? The value is more easily understood by the customer.
Yeah, I mean, we had a client who was doing free consultations if you bought this very expensive product, and they were amazed that nobody was taking them up on it. They're going, I can't believe that. I'll just repeat that. I can't believe nobody's taking this up. We are the experts in the industry and people aren't actually coming to us to take this. And the headline on the website was free consultation. And so it's there, it's free, consultative, brilliant. And it didn't work because so what? You know, you got to answer the so what question. And when we actually changed it to get up and running faster, it just went, you know, and then suddenly people went, okay, that's the reason to do it.
Right, so that's a nice example of it being able to express explicitly what the value is. But
it's interesting when you go to clients and talk to them, because I keep saying to clients, this is like me explaining how you breathe. You can say, well, I breathe in and out, but actually you're forgetting about all the things that are going on that you're doing instinctively to add value. So that's why we've got to come in and just ask a lot of stupid questions and dig deep to go, why, how, what, but what does that mean? So what? So it's a free consultation.
No, I mean, these things are not difficult, are they? They're just, you're just revealing some biases, I suppose. Sorry, Jill.
No, I was just going to say, just to a slight counter to your point, Stuart, about not a challenge, just a
I
different.
like it. Bring it on.
The kind of the sort of the always starting with clarity on the customer problem, setting out on the right foot from a product development point of view. Just again, a conversation we were having that recently around sometimes what we'll see is it's something that's been created. And this is often how I think B2B brands in particular end up with massively inflated product portfolios, because it's something that a customer's asked for. And they've gone, that's the product team, that's an important, sales have gone, that's an important customer. We need to build it because the customers, I know I'm not talking end user here, I'm maybe talking retailer, distributor, wholesaler, whatever the kind of channel and relationship is. But so it's like they asked for it, so we built it, and then they end up in a position where they're trying to figure out, one, where it fits in their portfolio so they can talk about it as a distinct offer, and kind of a reverse engineering a bit of the kind of, why did we build this? And it's like, because someone asked for it, and there's just a little bit of disconnect between, again, back to the foundational stuff, and Stuart says this a lot, that if that's solid, then it helps guide what you don't do as much as what you do. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, again, not that we.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, that
bit,
definitely happens, and we're lucky that we definitely see it. But thankfully, our clients, mostly come from the latter. But certainly there is the kind of thing going. Can this make sure it's got a hand scanner or a McWidget McBoodoo or something on it, and then suddenly you just get
the McWidget boodoos.
So
Yeah, value in there.
in your article, there are 4 questions. You say that the companies that are going to win are the ones that can answer these questions without hesitation, and it's interesting. Do you want to run through them?
And yeah, let's go to the first one. I'll kick off. Right? Okay, here we go. Right, you're winning, client, Mr. or Miss Client. You're winning if you can answer these. What makes us meaningfully different? Not better, different. And one of my things I'm saying a lot, only is better than best. If you can get an only, that's good. But saying that we're the best at is kind of there. So it's trying to find meaningful difference, which is tricky, because what does meaningfully is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. What does it mean? So you can have so for example, we've just to put a 8.5-inch screen. How's that meaningfully different?
Is there a debate to get into here on this first question about the difference between differentiation and distinctiveness? Because I know that is a thing. I mean, could you replace different with distinct? Meaningfully distinct? Stand out?
No, I don't think so. Because distinct is.
Lots of products and companies have similar things. So, how different is different?
Well, that's where I don't know, but that's where meaningful
comes out in the session.
That's the meaning. That's where the meaningful is, because if there isn't a meaningful thing, then actually you need the brand.
Well, this is where I think the meaningful and the only, I think, need to be very interconnected, because only is only good if it's only is only better than best if it's meaningful. It's like, how many whiskey companies do we work with where it's like, our pagoda's got a teapot shaped roof? Who fucking cares? Doesn't matter. Why is it different? Why does a customer care? How does it influence the quality of the product?
That leads on to the second question.
Yeah, and that question is, how does that difference drive measurable value for the customer? So how's that going to make them money, save them money, reduce risk, make them feel better? What is that? What does that? So, it's just, so we think our teapot pagoda roof is meaningfully different. And you go, brilliant. The next thing is, how does that make me how does that make me feel better about buying this present for my dad for Father's Day?
Where does the value show up?
Where's that? Yeah. So that can be a B2B or B2C. How will this make me money or save me money? This is why I love B2B, because it's very clear. You can do that, but that's there. And then once you've got that, you've got the next question, which is, can we prove it?
These are tricky, man. These are.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of, you kind of go, well, yeah, and you go, okay, I'm sitting here with my notepad. Crack on. It's got a 7.9-inch screen. And you go.
Well, that was going to be my question around that question. Does that, how do we prove it, help join the dots between the value bit and the technical bit? It kind of, because quite often that those things are both there. They've just not been kind of threaded together, and it feels like you're asking those questions. It helps bring the products, bring the disciplines together potentially.
Yeah, and that hard proof can be, as you say, Julie, or it can be, here's a customer testimonial, or here's a thing. There's a couple of things, but you've got to. You can't just say it. You've kind of what you want to do with the first two is people lean in. They're kind of going, okay, you've got me. Tell me more. How I see how this is going to make me money, save me money. has it because it's trust. It comes back to brand trust. It's kind of going, so has anybody else done this before? Has anybody else done this before? And they kind of go, no. And again, we've got a bit of a challenge with something just now that's kind of new, where the aspiration's great, but there's a proof gap. There's a kind of, there's a bit of a social proof gap in there to kind of go, you want a bit of that. So there's a challenge in that.
And then finally, then is about the consistency, isn't it? Is it about?
Well, and basically, how does this come through in every interaction in online, in person, post sale? Post sale is my baby. Post sale is my baby because you've got sale. You're in selling mode.
Well, is this about? It's about comms. Then is that what this is about?
I'll tell you in a minute. So you've kind of got sales, you've got selling, and then you've got after the sale. And I think there's kind of how does all this come through in every interaction? Can you then kind of prove it before, during, and after? Can you actually help the customer? Is there going to be consistency in your comms, in your product? Like the experience you've got in that website, does it match the box unpacking experience? It's all this thing that needs to feel like a whole, because at any point you've got the potential of losing trust. Going, they've oversold this. They've oversold this. So it's always very easy to in the sales mode to go, hey, it's a bit of bing, bit of bang. Then when selling is definitely the kind of, you'll get the salesperson coming in and it's all fireworks and Mai Tais and Yahtzee, and then suddenly in the post sales it kind of falls a bit flat because the deal be done. And actually, that's probably when the reinforcement of the brand has got to happen in that post-sale section, because it's the It's if the sale is the sample, is a phrase that we use, then you've got this. Then you've got to have the post-sales kind of be true, and it's got to feel exactly as consistent as the other two. And generally, it's a little bit of a poorer experience, and you don't want that doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So moving to kind of real tactics and how to close the gap, what should companies do to start closing that perception gap? What's the first thing they should start doing? And how do you, because we know from experience that unless, there is quite a lot of skepticism in-house about, an engineering-led mindset can dominate, and there's a bit of skepticism about brand marketing. How do you do, what should they do?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before, and it's difficult because it's a culture, depending on how bad it is. It's a culture challenge within an organization about how you see brand. So is brand seen as the colouring in department, or is it seen as a solution to business problems? And if it's a solution to business problems, you're probably in not a bad place, because it's an understanding that this will support. If you're in a place where it just, you're just knocking out, the marketing team are seen as the team that just knock out sales sheets, it becomes a more difficult, because what's going to happen is the marketing department are going to get blamed.
Yeah.
They're going to go, well, this sales sheet isn't very good. That's not the problem. As I say in the thing, the best product doesn't always win, but the best explained one does. And it's kind of... Sorry.
So I was just going to say to you, because I think what you do, when we're talking about, using product positioning, and in this case as an example, I think the way that you tee it up with our clients to say that this is, it's a team sport, and this is why it's important that we have representatives from across the business, across different disciplines, from product, from sales, from marketing. It doesn't become a marketing initiative. It's, the early days in the process, early on in the process of kind of starting to unpack that or unpick it, that kind of the value-based stuff is, the key stakeholders are all involved. And I think if you can get buy-in involvement at that stage, and I think I've seen you do it multiple times where, the initial suggestion of the kind of attendees at a workshop from a client who's VP of marketing or predominantly marketing people, maybe with a product person thrown in, and you will push back and with this is why it's important that we have kind of multiple stakeholders involved.
We had one, and actually you find things out. We did a product positioning workshop, and the big sell with the sales team was going, this is an environmentally friendly product. And we were sitting there doing the positioning, and the product team were going, no, it's not. They're going, what? I went, no. Don't know where you're saying that. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, that's good, because you're exposing,
Yeah. And it just means that, well, and again, it's truth. It's the post-sales bit where you kind of go, you said you had the hard facts, which are kind of made up, and then it's not.
Yeah.
You're doomed. That's your loss. So it is, you do need, you're right. I mean, I think it's kind of trying to look at this as a team sport as opposed to a marketing team, and then you get everybody's input. And I don't think, and I'm going to say this because I'm an agency member, and I want your money, bitches. But the kind of thing is, I don't think marketing teams can run that. I think they have to participate and not facilitate that.
Well, they don't. They're not aware of their own biases as well.
Yeah, you've kind of got to bring there because they'll definitely have an input. And if you're standing up there on the whiteboard writing things down, there's going to be a perception again of this not being objective.
Well, yeah, and I think that we've worked with clients in the past where, because of the internal culture and the kind of perception of marketing being the sales sheet and colouring in department a little bit, that you get to, even when you're, ultimately, product trumps marketing, or product trumps everything. So I think you can't then be in a position, if you start out with marketing team trying to then, I'm just using the marketing team in this case, but, trying to facilitate, like you say, and participate, you're on to plums, you know what I mean? Because it's not, you straight, as opposed to being able to bring in an objective kind of outsider to, like you say, ask all the daft questions.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, it's stupid questions as a service is what we offer at these things. It's kind of
and those are expensive, by the way.
Know.
Those are that's an expensive.
You do have a lot of stupid questions.
Listen, I'm delighted. It's been there. So I mean, it is asking the stupid questions where a marketing person couldn't do that, where they couldn't go, so why do we sell like this, and why is it called that? Why have you got to plug it in? We can ask those. And again, that absolutely gives it a flat playing field, because then everybody's on the same page, hearing the same thing from the basics rather than the perceived knowledge that is normally that 80% of the story is not being told. It's the old iceberg, only 20% is up, but 80% of the interesting story is hidden because the perception is nobody cares, when actually it's key. So yeah, I think it's an interesting question about how do you get on with it, because it's not even a workshop thing. I mean, while anybody we can come in and do a workshop and do this out, it's a cultural start to go. Yeah, it's a cultural start to go. We believe that this is a team sport, that everybody has an equal voice in this, and that we're going to contribute together to get to the end result. It's not a market.
That is about, that sense of trying to seek consensus and everyone on the same page is a cultural thing in itself. But it's an interesting thing. So that's I mean, I think it's on there. It's on the site for people to read. We've broken it down, but it's up there in black and white.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's just the kind of thing, it's like, it's brand strategy gives you clarity based on the back of your business strategy. And I think that's what it is. And I think something, again, to go back to why I wrote this a little bit, is that it rips my fucking knitting when I just kind of brand is a dirty tool that you're going to get your hands metaphorically dirty and up to your elbows in it to try and pull out clarity in it. It's not a soft thing. And I'm going to say that because I think it can help grow your business. But I do think it's kind of that's what made me write it. It's like that's why I wanted to kind of say these aren't brand strategy problems. These are business problems that brand can sort.
Yeah.
All right.
Well said.
Aye, that's that.
Well said.
Boom.
Very good.
Boom.
That was good. Enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm sure. You know what? I think this is. I don't know. I think this. If you're going to get people,
I think we maybe all need to bring our mics though, because I think your sound for me sounds much better than Chris's does.
I think it'll all wash out.
You never sound that great, Jules. To be honest.
My what?
None.
My contribution wasn't that great.
No, I said you sounded a wee bit ropey to me as well. But hey,
I think it'll all come out. I think it'll all come out in the mix. Right.
Okay.
And
Watch
we're done.
the roads.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.